Thomas Morton is a journalist producing a documentary for a web-based network called VBS.TV. He wanted to get a first-hand account of the growing ecological catastrophe, so he headed out deep into the Pacific.
It's a fairly long journey, and it's a pretty small boat, too. It takes a week to get out there. It's one of the furthest points from human contact in the world. I think the second remotest point of open water on the planet.
Morton sailed on the research vessel El Guido, which is owned by Charles Moore, an avid sailor. In 1997, Moore was returning from Hawaii to California following a yacht race when he decided to take a relaxed shortcut through the quiet and remote gyre. He noticed he couldn't look into the ocean in any direction without seeing floating garbage. Moore has since dedicated his life to studying the phenomenon.
Just to go ahead and let people know, this is a big amount of trash.
The area that's polluted is estimated at double-sized Texas. It's a whole region of the ocean that's just totally infested with like little broken up bits of plastic. It's just like a confetti of chunks of garbage that takes up the better part of the open water. And then there's identifiable pieces of garbage like hockey sticks and Coke bottles and what have you that float by.
The problem with plastic is it doesn't biodegrade, it photodegrades, a process in which it is broken down by sunlight into smaller pieces, but they still remain plastics.
There's a ratio of plastic to plankton of about 6 to 1. That's roughly average. We pulled in samples that were like, where it was like 1,000 to 1, where it's overwhelmingly plastic. And when you go down into the water, like you can see, like it's like being in like a snow globe in certain sections. You can see just like little chunks of like yellow and red floating around.
What kind of film on top of the ocean? Is it below the surface?
It sort of floats like near the surface. The soupy mess, like you see once you're like underwater and have a mask on. I came up out of the water once and had like little chunks in my mouth.
But the problem may be affecting more than just those who snorkel in the gyre.
Thomas, you said we are eating our own trash. Explain that.
Our crap ends up in the ocean. It breaks down. It gets eaten by jellyfish, smaller life forms, like who are filter feeders. Bigger fish eat those, bigger fish eat those, and eventually we start eating these creatures.
In your report, Thomas, did you ever speak to any doctors about what the impact could be health-wise?
Yes, when we got to Hawaii, we met with Dr. Frederick Vom Saal. The diseases he's linked it to are early onset diabetes, problems with the liver, kidneys, every major public health crisis that's hit the U.S. in like the last 30 years. He's seen evidence of exposure to the chemicals in these plastics in mice. Probably the scariest ones are the effects they can have on the reproductive system. It's scary as hell.
There is actually a study in Japan where women with elevated levels of bisphenol A were the women who were repeatedly miscarrying, never able to have a successful pregnancy.
Research suggests that 80% of the trash in the ocean comes from land and river runoff, and the majority of that is just simply household and municipal waste. And the problem is growing at an alarming rate.
What do we do?
What do we do? There's no quick fix. I'm sitting in a plastic chair right now. This is our entire society, and in order to like start addressing this problem, we've got to reconfigure our society so that we use less plastic and somehow dispose of our waste in a way that it doesn't get out into the ocean and that it doesn't last for years and years.
All right, Thomas, thank you for terrifying us and for being on News to Me.